how are you supposed to respond to the argument that he has made, for example, that J.D. Vance is a fat gay race traitor who shouldn't be president of the United States because he's in an intermarriage?
Fat race mixer who's married to a Jeet who named his son Vivek, who was mentored by a Jewish neocon and a gay fed, Peter Thiel, and the guy's in bed with fucking Israel. And that's your guy?
Am I allowed to respond to scorn? I feel like scorn is a pretty good response to that, and that doesn't actually deserve a debate or a fulsome discussion, and that in fact treating that as though that is a rational idea is a disservice to rationality. But if you treat all forms of that response as cancellation, that's probably how you get to this math. The left shut the Overton window so unbelievably tight that if you said, for example, a man is not a woman, this meant that you had to be socially ostracized. And I think that's what people mean when they say cancellation. The free speech concerns typically are about being banned from platforms. Cancellation is the idea of social ostracism, that you must be invited to the party. And so for a while, it was like you couldn't be invited to any party, or people would attempt to go after your career if you said things that were kind of baseline normalcy. And the response on the right was not, let's broaden the Overton window. It was, let's eviscerate the Overton window. Now, almost a morally relativistic response. All views are now to be treated as perfectly equivalent. And if you act with scorn at any view, then that must be a form of cancellation. That must be a form of social ostracization that is unjustifiable. And so what you end up with is this sort of bizarre math where the right has taken to the idea that if you get a lot of flack, it's because you're over the target. And also that if you criticize, then that's a form of cancellation, that's a form of social ostracization. Well, if you add those two things together, what you come up with is it is probably better to be a Nazi than to criticize a Nazi. Because if you're a Nazi, then you're taking a lot of flack, which must mean that you're over the target. And if someone criticizes you, then they're engaging in the same sort of politically correct cancellation that the left was engaging in. You must be right, they must be wrong, and they're canceling you, and they're violative of sort of basic First Amendment principles. So I think that's a really low resolution view. I think the argument about cancellation was not that nobody should ever be socially ostracized. It was that the idea set that was being socially ostracized was a very normie mainstream set of views. And I'm not a moral relativist. I don't believe all views are equivalently moral or decent or worthy of, or even worthy of response.